Welcome to Elementary. So I'm excited, as always, to get started with the show. The show is not really, kind of really about real estate, but not really. What it is it's a mix. It's about growing your business as an entrepreneur, and about really growing a community. And I want to say that I am so delighted that I'm able to grow a community just based on people I've met. And we hang out on social and support each other. And that's really what a community is about, right? It's about growing each other, supporting each other, and offering each other the best service. My guest today will ask me to join. Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Thanks for coming on the
Thanks so
show.
much for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So I guess we'll get started and people will join as we move along. So introduce yourself and your Instagram handle.
I'm Brad Boyd. I am the owner of Twin Peaks Property Inspections. We operate a residential and commercial inspection company. You can find us online at Instagram, twinpeaks.inspections, and we've got a pretty good following on TikTok as well. So that's at Twin Peaks Inspections on there.
Cool. TikTok, huh?
Yeah, it's really got some traction. I wasn't a big believer in it initially, but people like that video content.
Yeah.
They're loving it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people love the short form video, right? So let's, tell us a little bit about your business, where you're located, which areas you cover. Oops, I think you froze. So if you're frozen, then hang up and hopefully you'll ask to join. There we go. I'm so sorry. Sometimes this happens, and sometimes we freeze. We have technical difficulties, but we improvise.
How's that? I'm back in.
Perfect. Let's go back to that question. Where are you located and what areas do you service?
Yeah, so we're located in Oshawa, and we go basically in all three directions from there. So we service Toronto, Peel region, York region, of course, all of Durham region, and even into the Kawarthas. So pretty casting a pretty big net in terms of service area.
Yeah, I'll say. So, what qualifications? I mean, it's such a silly question to ask that, but really, like, what makes you good at this home inspection? Let's just go with that. That sounds better than qualifications.
No, and it is, it's not a silly question at all. In our province, in Ontario, it's an unlicensed profession, and that is, probably the basis of the question. You don't technically have to have much for certifications to call yourself a home inspector. That being said, you need insurance. Insurance is pretty important in just about any business you operate, and we're operating in a high liability business. So some of the credentials that we carry are certified professional inspector. So we're certified by Internachi, which is the largest home inspection association in North America. And that's one of those key certifications, what you're really going to be looking for in a home inspector. And then there's a lot of continuing ed. We probably do about 200 plus hours of continuing education each year. That's important to keep up on, homes as they evolve. We've got all these modern smart systems now. And if you're not keeping up on those credentials, then, you're just gonna miss it, and you're gonna end up costing people money. So it's important.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't speak enough about home inspection, right? A good home inspector really kind of highlights things, not freaks people out, but highlights things that people need to set money aside for. I truly believe that you're better off knowing what's wrong
than, just running into the problem, right?
Absolutely, and for us, our job is we wear multiple hats. Just like you as a realtor, it's all about communication. So yes, we have to know what we're talking about, but we also need to learn how to deliver that to people. Maybe one day we're dealing with a person that's owned homes for years, but then the following day we're working with somebody who's moving from a condo into a house. And your delivery for the expectations with maintaining a house, you just have to make sure that you get your point across, you give the information you need, that these people need, but do it in such a way that they can understand it.
Yeah, perfect. So how long have you been in business?
So Twin Peaks has been open for now 5 years. We've got two full-time inspectors, myself and another, and then one full-time office staff.
I see.
Prior to that, I was building and renovating houses in Toronto, doing a lot of Forest Hill and Rosedale houses, and this was just a natural transition. I love meeting people. I love inspecting houses. For me, it's just fun. Every house we walk into is like a puzzle. So we're trying to piece it together, and it was a good transition now, 5 years full-time inspecting.
Wow, that's nice. Yeah, it's an important job, you know. Tell us a bit about your process as such. How do you work?
So we kind of come at things from a solution-based approach. So you're buying a house, you're spending a lot of money. You want to know what the facts. You want to know if the basement's leaking. And then we come at it from a solution base. So let's look at it. Okay, there's an issue. How are we going to resolve it? And so what's the repairs look like? What does the cost look like? Because that's important too. If you're moving into a home, you want to know if there's going to be any unexpected costs and what those are going to look like. So when we inspect the house, we start on the outside, we do the roof, and then we slowly move inside. And this is all interactive. The best thing, the best way that I like to inspect the house is to have the clients right beside me. And I think that's key. So we can look at things in real time. We can have conversations. If there's any questions about anything I'm saying, we talk about it right then and there.
Yeah, and I like that approach too. I encourage my clients to be present. It's nothing worse than a client who says, I'm too busy. And I'm like, you're never too busy for a home inspection. This is like your largest asset that you're purchasing. Why do I need to go to your home inspection? Why do I need to listen to it? But, I think people have to make the time to be prepared, to be there for their home inspection, even if it takes 4 hours to do it. Depending on the size of the house. But so that they can understand what they're really getting into. And then it's not this broken telephone thereafter, right? Where you're trying to make them understand how big this issue is. And sometimes when people don't understand the problem, what then happens is they think it's bigger than it is. Or they underestimate, right? One of the two. And so sometimes, it's so important. And for my clients, I keep stressing it, if you're paying for a home inspection, you should be present. Report is one thing, but kind of walking through and listening to it as you go through it, it makes a big difference. It's better, no report can match that, I think.
I totally agree. And, of course, there's going to be that written report, and you've spoken to it now a few times, and it is important. But there's nothing better than real time, face to face. And if, a lot of times we'll run into a situation where a client has to work, they can't attend the home inspection. We're doing Zoom calls afterwards. We're making sure that we pull up the report and we're going over things at the worst case on the computer so that we can talk about these things.
Yeah. So what inspired you to start this business? I know you kind of gave us a little bit of a lead into it. You said you were doing, home renovations and building. But what else? Like, what did you like about it that you thought, hey, I'm going to do this and I like doing this?
My story may not be so unlike many other home inspectors. I'll be honest with you. I bought a house, I got a home inspection, and as it turned out, it ended up costing me a lot more. There was some major items missed, and I thought, oh boy, if this is what we're dealing with. And for me, just like you, I'm sure I've got family members who are looking to buy homes. I've got a sister looking to get into her first home here in the next couple of years. And it was important to me to think that, hey, there's a home inspector out there that's going to do it right. They're not going to be in and out quickly. And so for me, that's my driving force, honestly. I come from the construction background, but really my driving force is to make sure that we're protecting people when they're spending, a great deal of money buying a house.
Yeah, I'm kind of nerdy like that too. I really like the home inspection process. If someone's going to pay money, I actually want them to have a really good inspection. Even if it's bad news, even if it's bad news, I tell people bad news is not like, bad news. It's just news that you're going to be preparing for. And if it's that bad, then we're probably not going to buy the house because, you know what I mean? Because unless you're like telling me, hey, I'm okay with all of those, big ticket items, but really.
The worst phone call that you and I can get is 2 or 4 weeks after somebody closes on a property and they say, hey, we got an issue. And those are the words that I hate hearing, and I'm sure you do too. So it's better to get the information up front, and so that they know what they're dealing with.
Absolutely. So, what all do you do? Like, what do you cover when you do home inspections? Do you cover pre-inspections? Like, what all do you do? What services?
Yeah, typical buyer's inspection when you're on a conditional period. That's how most people think of a home inspection. And then, yes, this pre-inspection is taking off for realtors who are listing properties. Toronto, it's almost commonplace. You could probably speak to it. Most properties are pre-inspected these days. Other things that we're doing, we also do a lot of new construction homes. Mm-hmm. So when you think of a newly built house, you think it's going to be perfect, but sometimes there are some issues. Yeah. The builders are moving fast. They're trying to meet their closing dates. So they don't pay penalties. So we're doing a lot of new construction, whether that be townhomes or detached. So those are the three large segments of our inspections.
All right. So let me ask you, does your company do wet inspections, pool inspections, or just home inspections?
Yeah, so we don't do wet. Okay. We do air quality and mold testing. Okay. Perfect. That's something that we're running into a lot in attics, mm-hmm. And to have to bring in a separate company to come test for mold or any type of hazardous materials becomes difficult for you as a realtor trying to line things up. So it's better that we just provide those in-house. We can get things done on site. Other things that I provide are we do some radon testing. We're starting to learn a little bit more from Health Canada saying, hey, we should be taking radon gas seriously. Mm-hmm. It is in everyone's home, but to what degree, the only way to know is to test it. So we do that.
Oh, that's cool. Is that
we do well,
an additional service, or is that part of the inspection?
It's additional.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We do well in septic inspections for those country properties.
Oh, okay. All right. That's good to know.
Not everyone pretty important.
Does that? Yeah.
Not too many. And again, if we can provide that one-stop shop, then it's better for everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
And then
makes it definitely easier.
And then the last thing we do is because we're getting into these older, these downtown Toronto Bloor West houses with the old infrastructure, we're starting to do a camera inspection of the underground plumbing drains.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So those old clay pipes from the tree roots, we'll stick a camera in there so people know if there's any type of obstruction.
All right. And that's an extra service, I take it. That's an add-on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you want
to. Yeah, and it's all done at the inspection time. It basically adds about a half hour to the inspection.
Yeah, and that is so important, especially for those older houses with those clay pipes, right? Because those can be so expensive.
Yeah, it could be 10,000 or more sometimes. So pretty important to know.
So tell me, we're talking about big ticket items. What are some of the biggest ticket items you encounter?
So yeah, so that's a great question, and probably some of the most costly things you can get into is roof. First and foremost is roof coverings, whether that be shingles or flat roofs. We're seeing some issues with.
Mm-hmm.
So our policy is we get up and we walk as many roofs as we can. If we don't, we're doing some drone inspections, and those are equally as good. It's all 4K, so we get a really good idea where the roof's at. Other things, furnace, air conditioner, they're going to become costly if there's issues. Any type of water leaks, and the one that comes to mind recently is basement leaks. So we got the moisture meters. We're doing a full reading in the basement to see what's going on behind the drywall.
Yeah.
We're doing some thermal imaging as well. And then probably the last one that can become costly are windows and doors, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think that's something people, I mean, those are the big ticket items that, I tell people to be mindful of. Like water, you don't play with water. You know what I mean? Once it gets leaky, it becomes problematic. Then you get into mold, you get into all these other things. I mean, it's important to you really kind of, catch it at the early stage. I mean, talking about roof, I go for a walk and there's a house that I just don't understand how the owners of this house, I don't know if they're renting it out, but the roof is so bad. I've never seen a roof as bad. And
Man.
it doesn't face them. Like I'm sure they have water damage and, they've got squirrels that have made little holes in, oh my God, it's just like, and it's just bad. It's bad.
Yeah, and like a lot of the things too is, as you've already said it, minor things become large things. So if we can catch them when they're small, we're talking about just a small ticket item, and we just don't let them get to that large costly repair.
Yeah, I think people get so overwhelmed with stuff and I mean, what's a nice house with all of the cosmetics done to it when you can't have the basics right? You know what I mean? All of that means nothing if you just can't get the higher ticket items right.
Yeah, and like I get it. I mean, we're all busy. Life's expensive, and all, and you're not always thinking about maintenance on your furnace. But if you just get it maintained, whether it be every fall or every second fall, you could just catch these small things, and you forego that full furnace replace because you caught it early.
Yeah.
And those are a lot of the discussions that I have on site with clients is like, hey guys, I know it's not top of mind, but go back to my report in 6 months and reread it because there's all these maintenance tips in here. So just reread it, and it might just get you thinking about how to prepare for winter.
Perfect. So are any of your services guaranteed, or like how does it work?
Yeah, so basically we just have a policy that we're available to people for the life they own the house. So we do an inspection for you. We're available by phone, or we're going to come out to your house and discuss things. So I'm probably on the phone a few times a week from past customers. It could be a year or 2 years ago. And, that's the way we like to handle things is, if it's on the report, perfect. But if you have any questions, send me a picture, give me a call anytime.
Yeah.
And that's, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just talking out loud. I mean, these things, there's really no guarantees. I mean, when something happens in a home, if something's going to break, it's going to break, and you just don't want it to break as soon as you take possession. You want it to break before you take possession, so someone else has to fix it. But you know what I'm talking about, right? So
Yeah.
I can understand, when I ask about guarantees, it's a question that I ask. It's not to say that you should have some guarantees because you're just inspecting something, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I was just at a house yesterday. I inspected about 3 weeks ago. The people took possession. I had let them know during the inspection the roof was leaking, and sure enough, they got the keys and they saw water. So it wasn't really a surprise, but they called me and they said, "Hey, Brad, can you come and have a look at this and just let's talk about what the roofer is going to propose? Does that make sense?" So it wasn't a surprise to them, but it's like, no, I'll be over there tomorrow. Let's have a look at it and let's revisit.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good. So I want to make sure that I've asked you enough questions to showcase you. So what have I missed? Or even if I haven't missed anything, what else do you want to share with people?
Let me just, I've got a couple things noted down here. Let me just check.
Perfect.
Well, actually, I actually wanted to ask you what your take was on the pre-inspections. Are you doing a few of those now?
So a pre-inspection really comes down to, and so therefore, when you put your house up for sale, you've already, got a few of those little minor things out of the way that would just be a nuisance,
Yeah.
right? Not everyone thinks the way I think. I'm a little more transparent because I'm like, this is it. This is what you're buying. Here's the inspection. Take a look at it. Buy it anyways, right?
Yeah.
That's me. And I think people then are open to the fact that you've done an inspection. You've got X, Y, and Z wrong. You fixed it, or I mean, you get to see the inspection where whatever is wrong, it's not big enough to make a big fuss about. You know it in advance. It doesn't
Yeah.
stall anything, and people can buy with confidence, right? So for me, it's about that buying with confidence. It's about saying, hey, someone paid money, and somebody can tell me, but it could be anybody's inspector, and I'm like, that's why you need a good inspector, right? That's why I want an inspector that when I'm walking through, I want to listen to what they're talking about, because those are the inspectors I want to recommend to my clients, because
Absolutely.
I know they're doing a great job, right? And they're spotting things and they're educating. And so I am, I'm big on pre-inspections. Now, some people might think I'm a little stupid for that, but I think I'm big on it. I think I like the transparency portion. I think I like the people knowing what they're getting into and buying the house anyways. And I also, but not all of my sellers will jump on my bandwagon.
Yeah.
And I must
Yeah.
say
I
that,
understand.
yeah. Some people will be like, I don't want to spend the money. And I'm like, do you want me to? But, you know, sometimes it's a tough one, depending on my seller and who they are and how well I know them. And most of them, I do try and get to know them quite well, because
A
I
relationship
like to have a
business. Yeah.
relationship, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not into like, because trust is so important with what we do, right? Like, and if I can't trust you and I'm working with you, it just really kind of really puts a
Absolutely.
damper on it,
Relationship
right?
makes the world churn,
Yeah.
100%. And I think you actually stole all my points on pre-inspections, but it's 100% right. And a lot of the feedback I'm getting from realtors when they're getting that inspection report, even if there are a couple items that could be serious concerns for buyers, is overwhelmingly it's providing confidence to buyers. And as long as it's coming from a reputable company, it's to be trusted for sure.
So, and then there's the flip side, right? Like we went through a phase where, we couldn't even wait for a property to be on the market for an hour before it was sold, right? And then we went through the phase where now, a few months ago in, the start of the year, properties were sitting on the market and people had their FOMO left. And so a lot of times, they were waiting for everyone else to, like, as soon as the market got hot, everybody wanted to buy. And so, those are the times where you don't get to do an inspection a lot, right? So for the times where you have a pre-inspection, I know sometimes I would have preferred. I actually had a property that I showed a while back and to one of my clients, and I actually interviewed a home inspector, and they had done the pre-inspection. So I actually got to take a look at the pre-inspection, which
Oh,
was quite
good.
nice actually, right? Because then I know what to expect. And I thought it was very cool. And I was impressed. And, so I thought it was great. And I shared the stuff with my clients, and I said, look, they also have a pre-inspection. So it really makes it easier for you to kind of understand where to land, right? Um, so, I mean,
Yeah.
I, I'm a champion for a good pre-inspection.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think I'm a big believer too in pictures. Like I know our report software actually supports video, so we'll try to capture video as much as we can. So that, and I think when you're reading an inspection report, it can be, you could just go dizzy, reading
Mhm.
some of these things, right? Because they can be boring and technical. So we try to get as many pictures in there as possible so that when a buyer's looking at it, they know, oh yeah, exactly. I see what's going on here. And we just try to use descriptive language because there's nothing worse than just reading some generic narrative. The home inspector's really got to spell it out so buyers know what's going on.
So, in wrapping up, then, where can people reach you? What's your Instagram handle?
Instagram handle is twinpeaks.inspections. Again, we're on TikTok at Twin Peaks Inspections. The best way to reach me is on the website. Our website's twinpeaksinspections.ca. And you can get all my contact information on there. Send me a text, give me a call. It's all relationships. I love meeting people and chatting, talking about houses.
Yes, don't we all? Me too. Different aspect of it. Um,
Absolutely.
I want to thank you for spending time with us this evening. Oh, hold on. Oh, yes. Someone says, actually has a comment, says, helps the buyers understand how much more they need to spend on the house that they are interested in. Totally, totally. Yes,
So yeah,
Reagan
and
asked. So totally
that
agree
is
with that.
yeah, and like on our reports, we try to put estimated cost of repairs. So if there's some roof shingles that need to be repaired, we try to provide all that. The the buyer is still responsible for getting their own quotes from a roofer, but
Mm-hmm.
we're going to give them a ballpark what the worst, cheapest and highest cost is going to be, and then they can just have a good idea with where those costs are going to land. So that's 100% right.
Yeah. And listen, it's not the end of the world, right? Like, I mean, you have this inspection, you have this, this document, you know what you need to change. It doesn't mean you don't need to buy the house. It just means you have to set aside money to buy the house. And maybe you don't have the money set aside. So perhaps you won't be buying the house based on that. But it's not totally the end of the world. If there's big, big ticket items, sometimes we tell people, depending on your skill level, I'll say maybe this house is not for you. But but I think it's so important that people, there's a couple of things that I will say. I work with people, and sometimes they'll say, "Oh my goodness, I had such a bad experience," and I'm like, why doesn't anyone really take the time to really figure out? Because you're buying, I mean, you do more research when you're buying a car, like when you're buying a house. I mean, just take a little more time. Don't be in such a rush. Get yourself someone that you're going to align with, whether it's a realtor, whether it's a home inspector, whatever the business, whatever the
Check out
people
Google
reach out.
reviews, right? I mean, you can't hide from, the almighty Google. So check out every company's reviews. Ask the questions. How long you been in business? Can I see one of your sample reports? It's an important purchase, a home. So yeah, do your due diligence.
And the one thing I will say to people is, like, figure it out, right? By asking the question. Sometimes I think people get blinded. Like, just because someone talks and says all the right things doesn't make them the best, right? So it's about really kind of getting, whether it's someone who will give them a good reference or someone who has good references who can really speak to it. But I do want to thank you for taking the time. I so appreciate your time. Um, and for all of you watching, Monday evenings at 6, this is where you'll find us. If you want to get interviewed, you want a topic, you want me to unpack a topic that you're interested in, then just drop me a DM and let me know. If you want to get interviewed and you have a business, I'm happy to take into consideration your business. So DM me for that as well. But as always, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. And until next time, have a great evening,
Thanks so
everyone.
much for having me on.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.